for sure. I've seen it classed as the super team of APAC coming into 2022. So look, I think this is going to be a really fun affair. These teams actually ended up on equal same points for the entire year last year in APAC South, which is quite interesting to think about because obviously there's a lot of attention and focus that's put on Invictus Gaming in general. They did make it to a major, but at the end of the day, yeah, again, the Fury roster, XQ confirm, they really put up a good fight throughout last year, just narrowly missing out on a kind of top finishing position.
In fact, Invictus almost made it to the 6th Invitational, unfortunately losing the open qualifiers, or in fact, it was the closed qualifiers. They lost out in the grand final to Cyclops. Now we get into the game. A strange ban from Fury in the Nook. Not something you see very frequently, but Nook does have her uses here on Bank. Particularly, I'm thinking about those garage pushes. People like to put a camera in garage on the defensive side and prevent any attackers pushing in, and well, Nook is the perfect counter to that. So now you ban out the Nook and you can put a camera in there without any second guesses.
Yeah, even other things like, just quickly sneaking down some stairs early rounds, Nook, great for that as well. Also brings the frag grenades to the table. Probably good to just keep that out of there. Look, it's a surprising ban though. We certainly don't see it happen or come through often. So look, we'll see how that is adapted to, but so much to choose from on the attacker side. With attacker repick now, I think it kind of, while it's the same amount of options, it kind of makes your picks a lot more meaningful, so to speak.
Look, I'm going to be honest, I'm kind of giddy. Like, I'm really excited. It has been a really long time since we've seen a mixed Oceanic and Southeast Asian roster, with the exception of Fnatic. But Fnatic's kind of a special case because they were playing in North anyway. But here we are. We've got three players from Southeast Asia and 2 players from Australia on this same roster, playing a full Southeast Asian squadron. Invictus, for the first time, picking up Australian players. I think a lot of people expected Jigsaw to end up somewhere. He was the Rookie of the Year in OCN. He was pretty phenomenal, his rise to power over the course of the year. But Nate, I don't think many people expected Nate, formerly from Order, to find his way onto another APAC South team.
Yeah, look, I think it's definitely a surprise, but at the same time, Nate had some pretty big games for Order last year, and that can be significant when you're on a team that is struggling. Obviously, Order finished 7th place overall in APAC South, and even in OCN, Nate had some pretty standout games, and at least from what I've heard, he's quite a vocal player, so sometimes you do need somebody that has that vocality that can stand up and potentially IGL, or just be the hype guy. Sometimes that's also super important. So I think there's a lot of extra qualities in Nate that we don't often get too privy to for broadcasts. And look, you consider the caliber of players on IG, there's got to be something there, right?
I think the classic line that everyone's saying going into IG's debut is, all right, who's going to play support? Like, these are all nuts fraggers. This is a super team. So it's the question, who's going to take the diffuser? Who's going to be droning? Funnily enough, Speakeasy, the best player in APAC, I think that's almost not even arguable. He is nuts. He's the one holding the diffuser, and he's playing hard breach. Sure, I bet he's still going to top frag.
Definitely still could, but you can see there Nate also on the other hard breach role, so it looks like he's going to settle into more of that support. I dare say maybe Speakeasy more support flex, so he's got that freedom. I guess we'll see as the rounds progress, but either way, first minute in, IG certainly just taking their time to get set up around this site. Looks like they want to have a lot of window presence early and maybe just try and clear some of the utility off walls, clear out general utility on site, and push some Fury positions back out of that main area.
Keen eye from Jigsaw spotting out the Valkyrie camera at top square. A lot of info denied from Hajime. Jigsaw, the tip of the spear for Invictus. Honestly, still kind of unsettling to say that, to say jigsaw.ig. And yet here he is. Let's see if he can live up to all of the hype. ARX in hand, and Fury are just sitting pretty, waiting. Dark safely playing behind this deployable shield in the stock hallway. A breach on the wall attempted. The first one muted out. Nate goes down. I believe that was a repel on lobby. Invictus looking to fight back.
Yeah, really good opening pick here from Fury, and they are playing it very patient. They're not giving Invictus anything right here. No free picks. They're not trying to play aggressive early. They're putting that on Invictus to really push this progression. They need to make this attack keep moving. So look, I think that's a good call from Fury. That being said, I will quickly highlight it. They used both of their C4s, their only available C4s for rotates. That's not good.
Ooh, wow. Okay, and geez, that's a good nade from Jigsaw. Speakeasy on the back of it, goes straight on in. The Yokais using their Sonic Burst to start disrupting some of these players as they move on forward, but there's just 30 seconds left. And this round is about to get explosive. Speakeasy and Jigsaw both find kills. A 4v2 now for Invictus Gaming. Producer Boom, though, can take down the star player from IG, but doesn't matter. They got 3 other star players ready to step up. Jigsaw, he also falls. Producer Boom's had a massive round so far, and he has to clutch the 1v2. Mentalist is there, and IG can steal away the first round.
Look, good job from IG to bring that one back. And look, they kind of put the foot on the pedal, won some really key gunfights, and that got them the access they needed to close that one out. So yeah, good on them to be able to bring that one back. It felt like it was firmly in Fury's hands for a good solid 2 minutes or so of that round. And you can see smiles all around, definitely feeling very comfortable. And I will say, on socials, these guys have certainly felt like they have gelled well as a team. Lots of jokes, lots of laughs happening nice and early into the season.
I gotta say, if any team has been tweeting at each other in the lead up to this season, it has absolutely been these guys. Like every second tweet's like, ha ha ha, Jigsaw. Wow, that is such a Jigsaw moment. Ha ha ha. What about you, Mentalist? Oh yeah, what a good Mentalist moment. I live for it. I think it's really funny. But I also think it's funny to make fun of as well. So credit to them. They seem to be really getting along. And look, that's important, right? Yeah, you're professional players and you need to be professional and have a professional relationship. But if you're going to be sitting playing video games together for countless hours and overcoming some serious stress and anxiety, you probably want to be doing it with some people that you can have a laugh with too.
Yeah, and look, I think it's such an important quality in teams that maybe is often, I don't know whether you'd say overlooked, maybe underappreciated, is like your team can be, I guess, statistically the best players, but if they're not having a laugh or having fun together, they're not going to be able to weather, you know, the bad times. I think it's super important. We've seen it at major events, you know, global events, teams having a laugh and that work really well together. They seem to be the ones that perform the best.
No doubt about it. Oh, I love seeing the 0 here. Speakeasy. Bringing that operator to the forefront. Okay, Mentalist, that was an interesting strategy there. What is this? What is that monstrosity? I have never seen Tachenka with any sight other than the one he used to. He used to only have one option for a sight, and now he's got all of them. What is that? That is. What is,
oh, that's cool.
I can't get over that.
That's
yeah,
cool.
Look, yeah, that's one word for it. Just take it away from me. I can't retain my composure, mate. I'm
all good. But either way, look, great for Producer Boom. Got the opening pick. Mentalist a little aggressive early. Not sure if that was a missed drone or just backed himself in to take that gunfire. Either way, he's lost now, so that's a lot of utility lost on the Capital. Obviously, those bots super helpful. But regardless, nice swift approach here from IG.
Oh, okay.
Nate already in baiting for this. Potentially get a stick it, Dev.
Is this even a bait? I don't think this is a bait, Raven. Red alert, this is not a bait. He goes in, gets the plan down like Colas can manage to find the covering player of Speakeasy, but Jigsaw has found himself with 2 players. And now a very tall task as Hysterics tries to cover, but he's got 3 players to worry about. Nate, 1 HP and a dream at winning out this 1 versus 4. He makes it a 1 versus 2, a 1 versus 1, but he cannot walk into the flames. He will die. I can't believe it. Nate, there is no way he made the 1v4.
Well, we talked a little bit about the surprise pickup of Nate and the justification, whatever you want to call it. Boy, oh boy, he really earned his dollars then. That was a really great clutch from Nate. Fury just really botching the retake attempt here, just throwing bodies at Nate. Didn't seem like there were many pre-fires coming out. I don't know, you can criticize it all you want, but regardless, Nate played that so well in such a confined position. He was literally on these stairs the entire time, all 4 kills.
That's unreal. I just cannot believe that. How did he win that? Literally 1 HP and a dream. A dream that he rode all the way to the finish line. 2-0 scoreline for Invictus. No doubt that should have been a Fury round. But IG, thanks to Nate, won it. There you go. I mean, that's worth the pickup in itself.
I think Was server hatch open? It wasn't, right?
No, it was fully reoed and everything.
So-
I think it was even it wasn't electrical, but it was fully reoed.
Like, I guess a bit of an error there from Fury because they still had Toxic Babes in the pocket. Just gas the stairs off and defuse, right? Like, I know they don't know his HP, but even still, like, I don't know. A lot of options that could have happened there for Fury. And look, in the heat of the moment, sometimes it is just chaos. But regardless, really great job from IG. Really great job from Nate, I should say, to pull that one out. And they've got that 2-0 lead.
You could certainly say that round was a little bit of a throw. Just a little bit. A little bit of a throw from the old Fury. But credit where credit is due. Nate nailed it. Fury got a lot to think about after that one. Let's see if Invictus can ride the momentum of these first 2 round wins. As they have started very strong on their attack, and we expect this meta to really start being defined by attacks.
And already looks like there's about to be an opening engagement, and it is Jigsaw winning that very comfortably against the Colas. Nice and early, 40 seconds in, they've got that opening pick. Another great start here for IG on this attack. And I think, unfortunately for Fury, they're letting them build some momentum. And I get the feeling that this IG roster are going to be the kind of roster that once they're rolling, they could really get dangerous and hard to stop.
Nade coming out from Jigsaw as well to clear the Yokai drone. You just watch this guy's mechanics. It's why they picked him up. Playing an operator like Diana, you give him the license to go and kill. Obviously, he has his role, and he's been doing it just well, just perfectly. But at the end of the day, you pick up Jigsaw because you want someone who can thread the needle, who's got that golden mouse hand.
Oh, Mentalist. Unfortunately for him, losing out the gunfight to Hajime in through Janitors. And this is Fury doing a good job trying to fight back here on holding this vertical control. IG, though, immense in their pressure, managed to push forward and take out Spacehead. So 4 versus 3 man advantage, and still plenty of time on the board for IG.
Invictus as well have retained significant map control throughout the process. Still some castle barricades protect the remaining Fury members, particularly this one in the elevator hallway. Hysterix, not sure whether he still has his Gon 6, but he certainly has found, I think that was through the drone hole. Dark goes down, a nasty angle, and a bit of a tilter for Fury once again. IG, I mean, I have my doubts, but they are looking red hot. It's just Producer Boom left. In a 1 versus 4, what a tall order. And there's absolutely no way he can make this one work. IG have everything on their side.
Seems like it. And there it is. Speakeasy locks in that final kill for IG. They're on a roll now, Dev. 3-0 up. Everything going quite well for IG. Doing a really good job getting that early map pressure, or map control, I should say, in that round. And just never letting it slip at that point. Fury trying their best to fight up against this, but they haven't won a round yet, and that's going to have to start weighing on their minds a little bit.
I gotta say, I'm interested to get your take, Brandon. Like, coming into this stage, hearing that Invictus, the roster that had so much potential, dumped not only their new pickup of Joe, but their previous new pickup of Jordan, as well as the longest running member of the roster, Luna Metal, dropping 3 players to pick up Mentalist, who used to be on this roster, and 2 Aussie blokes. Like, did you believe that this was going to be the super team everyone was hyping it up to be?
I don't generally buy into stuff like that, but I definitely felt like they have a lot of potential. And I think it's always hard to judge. We've only seen 3 rounds. It's always hard to judge, even after a few games in this stage. You know, things can certainly change later in the play. But I feel like the composition so far is looking really good. They seem like they're playing off each other really well, which is super important. We've obviously seen some pretty big individual moments, like Nate's 4K clutch. But yeah, look, I think it's a good thing to do sometimes to refresh a roster. I guess they might have felt that they were getting a little bit, I don't know whether tired's the right word, but you know, they were struggling towards the end of the year last year. They had still had some decent performances, often off the back of a massive speakeasy game. So I guess for IG, they felt the time was right to just do the big shake-up and try and build something for the future.
It's funny, I think on paper, like you look at these players, you know, absolutely these are some of the best fraggers in the region. But I think it would be fair to have some doubts about how that would translate. We've seen super teams fail in the past. The most famous would be G2, and G2 have now canned most of their old super team roster, right? So I think it's fair to have doubts, but I certainly feel like those doubts are being put to bed right now with how well IG seem to be playing.
Definitely agree. I think a good example of the opposite is potentially Fury right here. Like, we'll see how the rest of this game plays out, but we talked about how they haven't really changed their roster at all. Yeah, they did all right last year. They finished 5th overall, but they definitely could have finished higher with just one simple victory. But maybe they needed a refresh. Like, maybe they haven't been able to identify what was going wrong for them last year. I don't know. Obviously, there's still a lot of the story to be told for us. But this could be a really good example, not just IG versus Fury, but big roster change versus not changing anything. I mean, it feels like stability should be favored, but I don't know. Maybe sometimes it's just not.
And this is an area where whatever team or language that your team comms in really comes into play, right? Fury comm in Thai and as to Elevate, and that means that there's a much smaller pool of players for them to choose from. Whereas IG, they're like, all right, we don't have any more Singaporean players we want to pick up. Let's pick up some Aussies. We all speak English, right? Like, even if the Singaporeans is technically speaking Singlish, it's just a dialect or an accent of the same language. And so all of these players can still communicate easily. Like, we're seeing Mag for Fnatic, like, learn Japanese so he can play with that roster, right? Like, it's crazy how limiting that can be for a team like Fury or Elevate.
Absolutely, but the action at hand here, Dev. 50 seconds to go, and right here, Fury are trying to stand up here on blue stairs, and it is M870 on the Thorn on the blue stairs. Nate traded back at least, but time really starting to play against Invictus on this one. They're going to have to try and flush out this position so their execute can get moving.
Got to win this one, Hysterics, and he backs himself in. Great use of the nade bait there, dealing with that troublesome shotgun player on the stairs, and now IG have 20 seconds to make this execute work. A nice nade to go through, put some pressure on Lycolis, who is the pivotal player here. Still one gas in hand, and he tosses it out, denying so much, as does that C4. The double for Hajime. Jigsaw's got to go massive, but he gets cleaned up. A huge round for Hajime on the mute.
Much better, well-rounded effort from Fury. They did a really good job stalling IG out. We talked about it. They only had about 45 seconds. They were still clearing out blue. That's really hard on a Locker's attack. You need to have a lot of time for baiting out. We saw it really come against IG at the end there. The Toxic Babe still in the pocket. The C4. Fury had everything they needed to throw at that denial. That was always going to be tough for IG to salvage that.
Well, nice to see Fury get on the board at least. It's something, right? It's not a lot, but it's something to work from. And it does mean that now Locker's CCTV, where they just won, is going to be locked for the remainder of this half. So they're going to have to show some metal on these other bomb sites. Next up, CEO Exec. The very first round that they played, they looked to start all right here, found the opening pick, but then Invictus sprung into action and found all kinds of picks, chasing down those Fury players. Let's see if Fury are going to do the same hold. It looks like for the most part they are. However, there is a Dawn in the lineup that we didn't see previously. Hajime also moving over to the Jaeger, so it's a bit of a shuffle all around. I think overall the intention behind the hold is the same. You can see here the shield in the stock hallway, but just some of the operator choices to enable that have varied.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether they kind of play this out slightly different. Like, obviously the setup fairly similar, but maybe the essence of the hold or the play style will be different up. But certainly hope there's been some kind of changes or some direction given, because IG in round one attacking this site, they looked really good, fairly clean. So hopefully Fury can kind of put some pressure back onto IG on this attack.
The main change, I think, that could be impactful here for Fury is that they didn't have the Jaeger previously. They were just defending that shield in the stock hallway using Wamai. So now you've got the double denial of projectiles. And that should keep that shield alive a little bit longer, really test IG's ability to clear all that util out. That said, Mentalist on the IQ, perfect operator to see exactly what util they're going to have to deal with and then plan accordingly.
Started to see actually quite a bit of IQ pick today. Haven't been keeping a full track of it, but I feel like I've seen more IQ than I would have expected. So that's always cool. Love IQ. Probably one of the first operators that I wouldn't say I mained, but actually played a lot of IQ and Twitch in particular. So loving seeing her kind of getting a bit more play right now. Do you reckon there's any particular reason behind that, Dev? Just so much utility to deal with, and it's kind of necessary to bring her back into meta, perhaps?
Look, theory crafting, attacker repicked means you have a bit more flexibility with your operators, right? Like it used to be, you don't know whether they're going to stack, you know, lots of util. You don't know what bomb site they're going to be, so you kind of always have to have, you know, 1/2 hard breaches, you know, some gadget denial, some projectile denial, some soft breach. Now you could be like, okay, we only need this much soft breach. We only need this much hard breach. So yeah, we can afford an IQ. Sure, let's go.
I like it. Yeah, I feel like that's fairly accurate. And it's cool. Again, talking about attack repick, feels like it brings the attack and attacker lineups in general more down to a finer science, which is great.
A moment of quiet here for several reasons. As Invictus start to shape up, but Jigsaw's the first to fall. Hysterics, the dangerous task ahead of him is to try and deal with Lobby, but
Jeez.
what a nade! That is phenomenal. Hajime goes down, and now Hysterics afforded some flexibility. Mentalist has also managed to repel inside a very dangerous position he has found, but Spacehead rips his head clean off. Now trying to deny an entrance with the smoke. 35 seconds left is plenty of time for Invictus to maintain and execute. That said, Producer Boom ever the problem in Invictus' side. He might have the shotgun primary, but that secondary C75 is going to do plenty of work. Now just 2 players repelling on the windows for IG, and this is going to be a hopeless and desperate attempt. On for the spray is Spacehead. He finds the double, and Fury are marching their way towards a potential even half.
Doing much better now, Fury are. They strung together a couple of rounds, and they did a really good job just standing up against what IG were trying to throw at them. Besides that single frag grenade from Hysterics, that was completely unavoidable. But regardless, here it is again. Nice Kobe, all the way up through Banana into that front desk section. But regardless, Furious did such a great job holding the ground that they needed to do in that defense as compared to round 1.
Fury have managed to come back from that 0-3 deficit. 1 lockers that they previously lost, 1 CO that they previously lost. And now the ultimate test will be staff from open area that they, of course, previously lost. And it looks like for the most part, the operator lineup is the same. The main change here is that Producer Boom has moved off the Echo and onto the Pulse instead. I wonder what the idea is behind that.
Maybe just feeling like they want some extra info?
Like, the Echo is also info? It's just like a different form of info?
Yeah, I guess, like, I mean, in my opinion, I feel like the Yokais can be a little bit tricky sometimes to get through to maybe the time of round that you want them to be alive in, just because there's no invisibility cloak anymore. So in theory, they're a little bit easier to spot out, whereas the Pulse, it's safe, it's secure, right? Like, you're always going to have that scanner in their hands. It's more about your positioning. And maybe it's just to aid more verticality. They'll have more control over that info as opposed to the Yokais.
Could well be the case. IG have one last chance to come away from this half with an advantage. Otherwise, it'll be even going into their own defenses. You can see the IQ has been traded out in this round for $1. Invictus knowing that they're going to need to engage a lot of vertical play to clear out tellers, archives, and put some pressure down onto the bomb site. So they want to make sure that they have as much soft breach as possible.
Yeah, definitely a good call. That buck is going to be very valuable if they do manage to get in and get this vertical control they need. Hysterics is trying to catch potentially an early rotate here off the side of Banana into lobby. It's always one of those plays that how long will you dedicate to this? Because, you know, it actually takes quite a bit of time to get off those windows and into the building. You don't necessarily want to leave that too late into the round. But either way, like Colas is going to stand up and he's going to take out Jigsaw from below to get that opening pick for IG, and so close to getting Mentalist with that C4 to back it up.
Jigsaw's actually just had a rough last 2 rounds. The opening death both times. Fury still have presence upstairs here. Hajime in a very safe position, looking to take a gunfight and then back up through the hatch. He hears the telltale sound of that skeleton key ring out through the top floor and knows that Buck is near. That said, Mentalist, low HP, focuses on just opening up as much floor as possible instead of engaging any players. He clearly isn't aware of Hajime upstairs, who's now dropped below, but could easily get straight back up that hatch, thanks to the ability of Oryx.
Yeah, I thought it was such a cool play. I was really hoping he was just going to stay passive at the top of that hallway because it really looked like IG, they looked comfortable. They looked like a team that was like, all right, top 4 clear, let's do our thing. So Hajime certainly was in a position to make a big play. Certainly still can, and we'll see whether that plays out. 50 seconds to go now. IG really starting to make their push towards site. Haven't quite made it known exactly where the plant is going to be, but it looks like they're favoring the kitchen side here as they start to stack up around square.
Producer Boom spotted as he went downstairs as well. So Invictus will be very aware of a pulse lurking below and potential C-forces and I plant in the late round. But this is such a pivotal round here for both teams. Can Fury even it up and potentially bring it back on their attack, or will Invictus have an advantage going into their defense? Hysterics with the adrenal surge to buff his team. 15 seconds on for the execute. Still 5 players from Fury are alive. Speakeasy looking to change that now as he finds a spray on through. Doesn't finish him off, but the rest of the team spring into action. Lycolis holding with the SMG-11, but Spacehead from Printer can support, and there is no hold in which IG can break on through. Fury managed to come away with half the rounds in the half.
Honestly, a great half in the end from Fury. I don't know, actually, maybe not great, but they did a really good job at rebounding from that. You know, they were down 3-0. It felt like it was going to be quite grim for them, especially after the round 2 throw that they had, that 1v4 loss. Certainly concerned that we were looking at a fairly dominant match, but no, they've done a really great job stepping it up from round 4 onwards. They strung together 3 defenses. I think in general, they just weren't giving IG some of the grounds that they had previously given them. You know, they were just doing smarter plays around holding map control.
And you look at, in fact, would you believe that Fury managed to get 5 out of the 6 opening picks in that half? That sounds ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Considering that it only ended up a 3-3. But yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I think that Fury just played a lot more aggressively, just didn't give up for nothing as much as they did at the start of that first half. Let's also not forget that one of Invictus's round wins was a 1 versus 4 clutch from Nate, right? And that's 4 out of his 6 kills in the map so far. So if you, kind of like what we did on map 1, right? Where we said, okay, if you don't count Sappers, sorry, in the previous match with the Elevate versus Last Dance, if you don't really count Sapper's clutch, what does the scoreboard look like? Well, if we did that game right now, Fury would be up 4-2.
Yep.
And that's kind of grim for Invictus.
Is it a little bit, considering that it feels like their rounds were a little more... I don't know whether it was just because we were a bit hyped about the Invictus roster, but like it felt like their round wins were more significant. But I think at the end of the day, Fury felt like they started to really nail some fundamentals of team play in those last few rounds. And yeah, look, I think this is a really great initial test of the IG roster. They had a strong 3-0 lead. Now they've been equalized. Fury did a great job coming back. What does this IG roster have? They need to start to pull together as a team to kind of regain some momentum.
While we're all going to remember the big clutch rounds and the big 4Ks, it's worth just as much as a really boring round that plays out. Let's not forget that. Nice setup now from Hajime. In server, really putting the pressure on. And he's now going to get triple teamed. Oh no, they missed the shield. He managed to take down Speakeasy, but not out yet. Did that Yokai get taken out as well? I'm not quite sure. A really great play, though, from Mentalist, smoking off the dirt entry to prevent any teammates from coming to support and then taking down Hajime. Really well played. Now he's got his own Osa shield to use against the attack.
Yeah, I think a little unfortunate for Fury. I don't know whether unfortunate, sorry, is the right word. Maybe a bit of a misplay from Fury. They didn't really provide any backup for Hajime in that deep position. And also, especially once he died, there was no immediate attempt to kind of retake it from Fury. So, as you can see, Mentalist now has a very strong position as it is in server. And with that shield, certainly allows him to really dictate a lot of things here. If he's not careful, though, Producer Boom is going to clear that with a Rotero drone. And now Mentalist has quite the dilemma. Does he try and just fight this position to his death? Or does he try and quickly sneak back to site?
This is where we start to see the cost of that play from Mentalist. He's only got 1 gas left, which he's now used, and he doesn't have, well, anything going for him. He's been taken out. Relying on the rest of IG to play aggressively off the side. Hysterics has managed to flank up square and find 2. Traded back by Dark, leaving IG in the advantage only because Jigsaw is still alive. Needs to be revived, however. Producer Boom struggling to breach this wall. As he doesn't have any Roteros left, he can fortunately shoot just enough to get in and start faking out a plant within a few moments. Jigsaw still bleeding out on the ground. 15 seconds left. Is there a yokai still on the board for Nate? Nate goes for the spray, and it looks like he might be able to deny the plant. 9 seconds left. Still a 2 versus 2. Nate just gonna play time. Producer Boom has to find the yokai. He does! And now with no time left, IG have no choice but to peek. It is now a 1 versus 2 on the plants, and Nate on the long angle manages to nail both kills with the pistol.
Very close round in the end, but really well played from IG and really well played from Nate again, really just spacing out the use of the yokai and keeping it safe for as long as possible, provided enough of a nuisance where Fury couldn't push that into that post-plant situation. So that's a really important one for IG off the back of the 3-round streak we saw from Fury.
Yeah, wow. IG, I can't believe that they won that round, to be honest. Like, it looked like so many things were going right for Fury. Every step along the way, though, it looked like Invictus took a big risk, made a big play. But the reward wasn't necessarily as big as it perhaps immediately saw. Like, let's talk about that play from Mentalist, smoking off dirt and then retaking server. Yeah, that was very cool. But did it really make that much difference? He wasted all of his utility and eventually died anyway.
That's a good point. Yeah, definitely could have, I think, cost IG that round. It plays a very important role as the smoke in terms of denying plants or even just denying time in general. You could say he denied time of control of server, because if he didn't rush that position, Fury would have had a lot longer, to set up their plant and try and, make that plant just more comfortably happen. Because at the end of the day, they had to do a really rushed kind of plant bait game. And as you saw, Nate did a really great job of using his yokai, his utility. IG in general did a really great job of just holding that one off. So I think props to IG in general. They made some really big, important decisions in that round that ultimately did lead to them winning it. Yeah, some of them were a little bit risky, but I think at the end of the day, they're going to take that. And Fury, they're probably going to feel like that one slipped, but look, it's 4-3. There's still, a lot of this game to play. Fury can bring this one back.
I'm reloading.
Yes, certainly.
Swapping mags. Putting on a little show.
For Fury now, though, yes, like you said, they can bring this back. Is it going to be easy? Absolutely not. We have really only had a taste of their attack so far, though, and there's still a lot more to go. Burning all of the Wamai magnets, though, it looks like a very similar setup from IG from what we saw from Fury. It looks like Fury know exactly how to deal with it.
You can see, too, a lot of pressure there around stock, stacked up outside the window. Definitely wanting to get this control early, but again, IG doing a really good job holding this one off. I think for Fury, they just need to be patient and not rush this too quickly, because otherwise IG will, of course, be able to capitalize, get those opening picks. That being said, Speakeasy has found that opening pick onto Dark. That is the thinker off the board. And right now, Fury certainly struggling to get this map control.
Speakeasy looking to retake. Once again, aggress. About to find an aid coming his direction, potentially, though. Oh, and it does. However, it does not take out his shield, nor the player behind it. Another magnet to assist Speakeasy means that, well, doesn't look like Fury is going to flush out that position anytime soon.
Starting to get very concerning for Fury too. Down into the last 50 seconds. At least they're getting this breach open into the main office. And they've managed to find a pick back, so maybe this is the opening that they need. But again, time starting to not be on their side. IG having some great positions still in and around site. So this is certainly some pressure onto the attacking side of Fury.
Lycolis is so close to making an entry here. Now that Hysterics has gone down, it's all set up for him to do so. He doesn't realize, perhaps, the Mentalist is on the long angle. He gets the better of him. How does he manage that? Now Jigsaw and Speakeasy, two of the most hyped up players on this roster, have got a clutch up. Jigsaw finds one. Going below now, but caught out. It's just Speakeasy left, and he has to find the player on the diffuser. He fakes it! No, he doesn't! My God! Lycol has baited me for a second there. He locks in that diffuser. Speakeasy's got to walk into a dead crossfire to win this one, but he's so damn good! Speakeasy! The 4K and the clutch! How does he get away with it?
That's 2 rounds now of IG bringing back some just, I don't know what you call them, impossible rounds. Clearly not impossible, but some really big clutches to be holding on to this one. They're extending their lead now to 5-3. And a little bit reminiscent of the first half. You know, IG got the first 3 in a row, and then Fury brought it back with 3 of their own. And now we've got 2 in a row of IG. It's starting to see a bit of a pattern here.
Yeah, look, certainly IG are known for their hero players. This is what you expect out of a super team. You got Nate getting a 1v4 clutch. You got Speakeasy doing whatever the hell that was. And you got Fury sitting back, scratching their head saying, hey guys, I thought we were meant to win that round.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Yeah. Unfortunately for them, they were meant to win that round, and they haven't been able to secure it. So stuff like this is really going to come back to cost them. And again, I kind of highlight, Fury haven't made a roster change since last year, and this is the kind of thing that kind of cost them their potential opportunity to be second in the overall league. So to put that in perspective, as Q confirmed, they finished in 5th on 32 points overall. So they had 10 regulation wins, 1 OT win. The rest was all just straight losses. If they had one more just normal win, even an extra OT win, they would have been second ahead of Chiefs for the entire season. So just small things for Fury. It's always been their issue. It still feels like it's going to be a pattern this year.
When we tell you that APAC South is the closest league in the world, we absolutely mean that. Like when there is only 2 points between 5th place overall after a whole year of matches and 2nd place. That just, I mean, that tells you, doesn't it? And when you've got players like, I mean, some of the players on the server right now are the best in APAC. And that's what you're looking at right now. And I'm not talking about like top 20. I'm talking about top 5 best in APAC right here in the server. Really showing what they're worth. Fury, though, struggling to make anything stick. I don't know what that was there, but Producer Boom nearly lost his life for it.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Certainly did. Fury, time to get their act together on some of these attacks. Certainly facing a lot of pressure from these IG defenses. I think a big standout for me in that last one was just some of the map control a little bit slow from Fury. Of course, they don't want to go too quick. It's always about finding that balance. You still have to do your attacks with pace. You know, you still have to obtain that map control and give yourself time to get set up. And I think that's definitely important on this site. They need to get in, clear out that top floor, start to get some vertical pressure so they can really start to get IG herded into one corner and get ready for that execute.
And here they come. Off goes the adrenal surge, and Fury start to march on forward. Looking to lifeline their way through. Spacehead finds the opening kill. Dark really keen to find something with this LMG. A player on the other side of the soft wall not keen to fight back just yet. Jigsaw on the long angle. Weaving back and forth now. Instead, Fury turn their attentions to the site and don't realize that Nate is there with a welcoming party. Speakeasy manages to get himself back in position for a 2K, a 3K. And he's just non-stop, this man. You can never count him out. You can never push him aside because he is always ready for you. Had you mate in a 1v3, caught in high def, 4K on camera. And well, a minute to go, but I don't think he's going to last that long.
Certainly got a massive task ahead of him. Speakeasy is still alive at that. Too many IG players still alive. 3 of them, in fact. He's going to hit the deck in kitchen. It's only just a matter of time. And there it is. Jigsaw swings, gets the pick. And that is IG moving to match point.
And a well-deserved match point at that for Invictus. They had a slow second half of their first half, but since then it's been all smiles, as we can see on screen right now. Their energy cannot be understated. These guys have been really getting into it, and they are not having any of the shenanigans that Fury is trying to pull. Those rushes are going to be met with a nice, cheeky 3K in a single mag from Speakeasy every day of the week.
Absolutely. And now they've given themselves that nice little buffer. They're on match point. They're locked in 1 point at that, of course, with that scoring system. But they've got 3 rounds to kind of weather any storm that Fury tries to summon up here. And they're down in this lockers defense. Now, look, this is the one that Fury kind of threw. Felt like that they would have been able to lock this one in a few rounds ago. So maybe that's some confidence for them to start to try and build a bit of a comeback.
You can stop work. Reinforce the ball!
At what point do we start speculating how IG are going to do across the year? Because you don't change 3 players out of a roster as strong as IG were last year, unless if you're gunning for championships, unless if you're gunning for majors, 6 invitational.
5 seconds to go.
And so it makes me wonder, what do we expect out of this team? Because we knew for damn sure that we weren't convinced going in straight away. And there was, super team, but what does that really mean? Are we starting to live up to the hype now?
Certainly right, and it's the pressure that comes with, I guess, being that labelled super team, right? You've got to try and back it up day after day. This is only just one opponent in Fury. And look, Fury have put up some kind of a fight. They've certainly continued to struggle with a lot of the things that we've seen last year. So I'm looking forward to some of those matches where it feels like IG are going to be really well tested. But of course, they still need to lock this one in. Still just over 2 minutes on this round. That is match point here for IG. And Fury, of course, are going to be trying very hard to not let that happen. They've got some good map control above, so clearly a top-down push here. They're going to have to, of course, keep the pace up. It's quite a lot that's required in this attack. And last time they really got caught out because they had to try and go for that plant very late in the play.
Fury have made decent progress so far. The Ying is going to be the X factor, no doubt, this round. Opening up the hatch with the secondary hard breach is a nice touch. But the real creme de la creme comes from those Candelas and what Hajime may be able to achieve with them. Step 1, though, surely, would be dealing with Speakeasy, who's snaking his way up the blue stairs. The Uzi in hand, 50 caliber rounds in this tiny little gun. They pack a hell of a punch. And now he falls all the way back into server after that flash pushes him on back. He's about to feel even more pressure now that the server hatch is open as well.
By attackers.
Certainly is, and this is just good procedure here from IG and good shooting from Speakeasy, as you would come to expect. He's certainly creating a nuisance, and as we come down to this last minute, every second that ticks away of Fury not having server control, not trying to bait out this plant or doing anything towards getting a post-plant situation is counting into Invictus's favor. And Speakeasy presses up. Dev, he's ended on the double, but regardless, I feel like the damage is done.
Worth his weight in gold, Speakeasy, as he always is. Now it's going to be a desperate play from Hajime. With the Candelas, the gas also going to make this difficult for Fury. 3 versus 4 with 30 seconds left.
Spacehead certainly got a big task ahead of him trying to start to bait some of this util out. Of course, they don't have a lot of time in their hands, 20 seconds in fact. Mentalist still has a smoke, babe. This could be all over here, Dev.
Yeah, I mean, Hajime just tries to send it, but Jigsaw's watching for that one. It's also going to come down to Producer Boom, who IG are very, very aware of. Sneaking on through Garage, he will be met. Oh my god, the one-tap from Jigsaw! Traded on back, but Producer Boom is done for. IG, in their first match with the new roster, they find themselves a 7-3 victory over Fury.
And look, as to be expected in the end, I feel like Fury did put up a good fight, but a couple of big rounds there that Fury let slip away. This gave IG the rope needed to be able to start to run away with it. And look at them, calm, composed, not too up and about. Big win for them regardless, and I think some pretty big expectations for this roster to carry throughout stage 1.
It became pretty